I'm Lee Wheeler-Berliner, the Managing Director of the Colorado Workforce Development Council. The Colorado Workforce Development Council is a governor-appointed, business-led, public-private partnership with the purpose to advise, oversee, and integrate the work of the Colorado Talent Development Network. Our vision is that every Colorado employer has access to a skilled workforce, and every Coloradan has the opportunity for meaningful employment, resulting in individual and statewide economic prosperity. We engage with and support the EDCC because we firmly believe that economic development and workforce development go hand in hand, and the two must work together as key partners in order to realize the long-term economic impacts that we want to see within our state.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Kim Woodworth, and I'm the Operations Director for the Economic Development Council of Colorado. Just a few housekeeping items before we start. You've all entered into this webinar on mute for recording quality purposes. We encourage you all to ask questions from our presenters today. You can type them into the chat section at the bottom of the screen. Today's event is really to educate, to bring new ideas and best practices forward. So we want to utilize this network as much as possible. Do not be afraid to share your video, to share your thoughts through chat, and really make this an interactive session. If you have any questions after this webinar, please send them to me at kim.woodworth@edcconline.org. We will follow up after today's webinar with a link to the webinar as well as the presentation. We will also post it to our website on the webpage that's dedicated to the Drive, Lead, Succeed virtual series. For those that are new to us, EDCC is a statewide industry association that supports economic development efforts across Colorado. We connect our communities, our members, and our partners to high-quality educational opportunities and trusted resources, and advocate for sound policies and programs that support a vibrant economy and enhance quality of life for all of Colorado. EDCC members come from a variety of settings. We are rural and urban, public and private sector, for-profit and not-for-profit, and include individual communities, counties and regional organizations, local and state governments, chambers of commerce, university, and private industry. EDCC is building a virtual arsenal of information to keep our professionals updated on the latest trends, data, and case studies. You can access all of this information at any time by visiting edcconline.org/past-events. We'll drop the link into the chat section. EDCC has taken a hybrid approach to our programming in 2021. We have coordinated 3 virtual series, one is today, 3 Knowledge Network series, and we will be in person in Steamboat, God willing, for our annual Drive, Lead, Succeed conference, October 20th through the 22nd. Links to everything I have mentioned are populating into the chat section for those that are interested in learning more about EDCC and our programming. Now, without further ado, let's move on to today's programming that is brought to you by the Colorado Workforce Development Council. For economic developers, growing and attracting quality jobs is key to our ability to build sustainable and resilient economies. There are many benefits both to the employers and employees in improving job quality. Employers need dedicated employees to carry out their goals, objectives, and to remain competitive in the same respect. Employees are prioritizing quality jobs more than ever before. The nexus between this relationship lies the opportunity to grow a more equitable economy. As leaders in our communities, we can grow and attract businesses that are committed to job quality by coordinating policies and incentives that promote the creation of quality jobs. Long-term BNRE plans prioritize quality jobs, and by responsive education and training programs that meet evolving needs of job seekers, workers, businesses, and the economy. EDCC, in partnership with the Colorado Workforce Development Council, has assembled a panel of experts that will help us explore the concept of job quality and how it relates to our overall missions in our local communities. We are at the forefront for change. Today, we pull the collective know-how from our network of economic development stakeholders to power the great comeback through job quality. This one-of-a-kind virtual event will explore the heart of these issues, provide data to pack up the theories developed in the exploration to result in a thought leader position report that our professionals will be able to use to help guide conversations and actions at the local level. We are excited to share this report with our members, which will be released on October 11th. For those of you who aren't members, we hope by today's end that you will think about becoming more involved. In the near term, though, we will have this report available for a nominal fee. So with that said, I would love to introduce to you today's moderator, Paula Gamina, a consultant with the Colorado Workforce Development Council. Paula focuses on the development and facilitation of technical assistance modules and resources to serve the Talent Found network. She identifies opportunities for innovation within the Cwdc's work and scales successful practices to support continuous talent improvement for Colorado communities. Paula graduated from the American University in Washington, D.C., and started her career at the Colorado Department of Education with adult education and family literacy. Well, let's give Paula a warm Zoom welcome in the way we Zoom welcome people through all of our clapping emojis and whatever else we can do. Please let Paula take it away for us.
Awesome intro, Kim. Thank you so much, and thank you for the warm welcome. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us today. We really are excited to be here and share in discussion as well as broadening understanding of job quality efforts, both nationally and here in Colorado. So as Kim mentioned, I'm Paula Gamina. I'm the Learning and Development Consultant with Cwdc. I'm really looking forward to our time together today. We're going to build some awareness of Colorado's job quality definition as well as the company framework. Learn more about how businesses are engaging in this work, both from their perspectives, and then a little more information about a pilot that is being run through Cwdc. We'll also leave time to discuss and strategize with you all and understand more about how you see yourselves as community leaders in advancing job quality through the attraction and retention of businesses in your community. So before we dive into all of those objectives for today, we are really excited to welcome Jenny Weisbord from the Aspen Institute. Jenny's going to be sharing the national perspective and efforts with job quality, as well as tools that are available to support job quality work. Jenny, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Paula. As Paula said, my name is Jenny Weisbord. I'm the Associate Director of the Workforce Strategies Initiative at the Aspen Institute's Economic Opportunities Program. And at the Economic Opportunities Program, we advance strategies, policies, and ideas to help low and moderate income people thrive in a changing economy. So we've been doing this work for over 25 years. We focus on expanding individuals' opportunities to connect to quality work, to start businesses, and to build economic stability. So thrilled to be with all of you today. It's really a fabulous group of speakers and panelists, and I'm loving seeing where you all are coming from. I've had the opportunity to collaborate with the Colorado Workforce Development Council and several workforce organizations in Colorado, and it's just been very exciting to see the ways that the state is innovating to improve job quality. So as Paula mentioned, I'll spend a few minutes talking about the work that we do at the Economic Opportunities Program to strengthen jobs. I'll talk about why we focus on job quality, what we mean when we say job quality, and how workforce and economic development organizations and the employers that you're working with can take practical actions to improve jobs. And I'll also try to keep an eye on the chat as I move through. So if you have questions or reactions, please chime in. Next slide, please. Great, so let's start with why job quality. Nationally, for the last 25 years, labor productivity has been rising, as you can see here. So what I mean by that is that for every hour of work that workers are putting in, they're able to produce more goods and services. And you know, the American dream tells us if you work hard, if you're productive, you can build a better life for yourself and for your kids. But here we see that workers haven't been reaping the benefits of productivity growth. Productivity has been growing 4 times more than pay. So moving to the next slide, I'm going to share another way of looking at these trends. Here we're looking at the major US occupational groups in 2018, so before the pandemic, compared to the living wage for a working adult in a two-parent family with 2 kids, which is just under $34,000. Again, this is 2018, and this is based on data from MIT's living wage calculator compared with BLS data. And you can see here that in 2018, more than 1/3 of the top US jobs didn't pay a living wage sufficient to support a small family. So it's also worth naming that a number of the jobs that are growing in our economy are service jobs, and these tend to be the jobs that offer fewer hours and lower wages. On to the next slide. And we all know the burden of low wages isn't borne equitably. Because of systemic racism and occupational segregation, workers of color, and particularly women workers of color, are overrepresented among essential frontline workers who earn low wages. They also tend to have fewer benefits, less access to paid leave, and less voice at work. So as we're all thinking about how we're going to rebuild from the pandemic, we need to focus on strategies that improve the quality of low-wage work and center racial equity. And that's why I'm so excited about the work that's happening here in Colorado. So on to the next slide. I want to share a little bit about our approach to job quality work and how we got here. So as I mentioned, I'm part of a team called the Workforce Strategies Initiative, and my colleagues have spent more than 25 years focused on workforce development. For a long time, we focused mostly on what we call build ladders strategies that use training and career pathways to help improve mobility for workers. Those are still important to our work, but over time, and especially since the 2008 recession, we've seen that even as people are getting better prepared for work, even as they're getting better educated, work isn't getting better for them. So in recent years, we've had to expand our approach. And this is a framework that we use a lot that we call raise the floor and build ladders. It recognizes that training is really important for career advancement, but also that people need basic stability in a job to be able to even think about upskilling and advancing. With so much work concentrated in low-wage occupations, we need to focus on what we call raise the floor strategies that create economic stability and allow workers to retain their jobs. And as you can see here, we do understand job quality to include sufficient wages, but it also includes a lot of other things that can help a worker stay and succeed, like a stable schedule, benefits, a supportive supervisor, and a respectful and inclusive culture. On to the next slide, I'll share another framework we use to define job quality. The elements here include sufficient and stable pay, a predictable schedule, access to benefits like health insurance and paid leave, safe working conditions, and ability to exercise agency at work. And what I like about this particular framework is that it shows that jobs may be at varying levels along a continuum for each of these elements, from low to high. So we don't want to simply talk about good jobs and bad jobs. Viewing job quality as a continuum helps us have conversations with employers about the ways that they can make incremental changes to their practices that really improve jobs and economic opportunities for workers. Next slide. I want to just take a second to zoom in on one element of job quality that I've named, which is worker voice. This is my own entry point into job quality work. I was a grad student at MIT working with the Institute for Work and Employment Research and learning about the importance of using worker voice to shape job design. In 2017, MIT did a national survey of American workers that showed that the majority of workers experience a voice gap on many workplace issues. So they don't have as much say as they believe they should have and they want to have on benefits, on wages, on promotions, and other elements of both job design and company operations. So this is a job quality problem, and it's also a business problem. When workers don't feel heard or respected, it impacts their engagement and productivity, and it can drive turnover. And conversely, when companies give workers voice and strengthen their job quality, we often see concrete business benefits, higher retention, higher engagement, and in turn, higher profits. Workers really want their employers to succeed generally, and they often have ideas for innovative process improvements. And like so many job quality elements, giving workers voice can also help to attract talent, which I know is a focus for many of you here today. So as economic developers think about business attraction, job creation, and job growth, it's really useful to be able to make this business case for job quality improvements, to show that improving jobs isn't just a moral imperative to boost the well-being of workers and communities, it can also be a competitive advantage and help employers win the war on talent. Next slide. Over the past few years, our team has been seeing a growing number of organizations around the country take steps to improve job quality. And we've been doing our best to document their approaches and collect the tools that they're using. So last year, we launched a job quality tools library, which includes more than 150 curated tools and resources developed by organizations across the country who are engaging in practical action to improve jobs. So I encourage you all to visit the library and to reach out to me about tools you're using, tools you need. It's a work in progress, and we're continuing to update and expand it. And I'm going to take a second to walk you through it on the next slide. This is a map of the library. So I want to just give you a sense of the kinds of steps we're seeing organizations like yours take to work on job quality and the kinds of tools that they're using to do that work. So we've organized the library into 5 main sections, which are sort of meant to map onto what we see as 5 steps we often see organizations take in their engagement with employers around job quality. So the first is around understanding and defining job quality. It contains definitions of job quality, like the ones I shared earlier, readings about what job quality is and why it's important. And some of our partners have used these resources to develop their own job quality definitions or standards for a region, not unlike the framework that Colorado has developed and that you'll be hearing about today. Establishing a shared framework can be really helpful in setting norms and goals and encouraging local employers to improve practices. And once you've taken that step of defining what job quality means in your labor market, how can you start to assess how your own organization matches up and how the businesses in your region match up? So then we get to section 2, that's assessing job quality. And we provide tools that can help you measure things like working metrics, which you'll hear about later today. That's a software tool where employers input data and receive a score to indicate how their retention and earnings and benefits access and diversity compare to their industry peers. So you start using an assessment tool, you'll likely discover that many of the businesses in your labor market offer jobs that don't meet all your job quality criteria. And you'll ask, how can I support employers to change their practices? And that brings us to section 3. That's the largest section of the library. And this is, section 3 isn't the largest. We're getting there. That's section 4. Section 3 is the one where you'll find resources to help you build capacity to engage businesses in conversations about jobs. So for example, you can use our back of the envelope cost of turnover calculator to guide a conversation with an HR leader about how high turnover hurts the business and the kinds of job supports that you've seen improve retention and save companies money. And then once you've started talking with businesses about job quality, you might want to help make a specific practice change. And that's the one that's actually the largest section of the library. It's section 4, and it's tools designed to address specific elements of job quality, like wages or scheduling. So for example, if you work with an employer that's having retention challenges and you suspect culture and supervision might have something to do with that, you might refer the employer to some of the management training tools in this section. And then finally, section 5 shares tools that you can use to hold employers accountable to job quality standards. For example, community benefits agreements that mandate that developers who are building new malls or stadiums or other projects in a region agree to adhere to certain job quality standards. And then in addition to those 5 main sections, we've created a special page of resources that directly respond to COVID-19. It includes things like health and safety trainings to protect essential workers. So next slide. That was a rapid fire overview of what's in the library. And again, would love for you all to engage with me around what's here. Feel free to reach out and I'll drop my email in the chat when I'm done. Tell me about what tools you're using, what tools you might need. But I want to just briefly end with a quick case study that helps illustrate what the kinds of people in this virtual room can do to strengthen job quality. Over the last several months, as part of our Walmart-supported Reimagined Retail initiative, my team has had the pleasure of working with CDLE's Northwest Workforce Area team. I think a couple of them, maybe Jessica and Mark, are in this room right now. And they've just been terrific to work with. And we found the region really interesting. The reliance on tourism and hospitality alongside a cost of living that can be pretty high because it's such an attractive destination. So that creates some really interesting job quality dynamics. And small businesses are a really important source of jobs in the region. And as the team there has recognized, many of the small business owners care about their employees and want to provide the kinds of jobs that attract and retain talent. But of course, busy small business owners operating with tight margins and with no dedicated HR departments might not know where to start, especially in times like these. So our teams are working together along with another organizational partner, Pacific Community Ventures, to run a job quality pilot with small businesses. And the pilot pairs small businesses with job quality advisors who are helping them make low-cost changes to their workforce practices that benefit workers and business performance and can help to attract workers in this tough time. Advisors are using the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit, which you can find in the tools library, to help guide their work with business owners. So this pilot is still really in its infancy. We're helping the small business owners survey their workers to understand their experiences and needs and figure out which job quality improvements to focus on. But as owners work with advisors to make job quality improvements, we'll be looking for opportunities to share learning and examples. So please keep your ears out. I will wrap up there, but again, really encourage you to engage with me either via the chat box or offline if I can support your job quality focused work. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Jenny. We appreciate your time today and the expertise and resources that you've shared with us. Jenny, if you're going to be staying on for a few minutes to keep your eye on the chat, that would be great. Just so if people do drop some questions in and you're able to respond, that would be awesome. So thanks again, Jenny, for being here and offering that perspective. We're going to shift slightly from that national perspective, but also some great Colorado examples. Thanks for sharing those, Jenny. To what is happening right here in Colorado. And as Colorado and the nation as a whole really commit to economic recovery, there is a focus on evidence-based strategies. And those evidence-based strategies involve quality jobs. They have proven over time to better attract talented workers, reduce turnover costs, and increase employee engagement and productivity, while also improving a company's operations and profitability. So regardless of where you are in Colorado or across the country right now, job quality is a conversation about the here and the now. We're no longer preparing for the future. We are evolving to meet the demands of our ever-changing economy on a daily basis. And as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, we are in an accelerated state of change as well. So though the acceleration of equitable strategies, through the acceleration of equitable strategies that meet the needs of our diverse workforce, we also have an opportunity here to focus on the strengthening of our supply of quality jobs across Colorado and continuing innovations within our talent pipeline to ensure that we build back even stronger than before. Given the benefits of improving job quality for both employers and workers, the Cwdc has engaged with stakeholders to collaborate in the development of a statewide job quality framework and definition. The framework that we're going to share with you today is intended to provide a shared definition for us to work with for job quality, and also with an understanding that it can be adapted if needed to really suit local priorities and be used as a working model to help accelerate job quality efforts statewide. The next slide, we'll talk a little bit more about that definition specifically. So I'll start just by sharing Cwdc's vision. So the Colorado Workforce Development Council has a vision of every Colorado employer having access to a skilled workforce and every Coloradan having the opportunity for meaningful employment, resulting in individual and statewide economic prosperity. So when this vision was established in late 2019, early 2020, it was set by the council and very intentionally picked the term meaningful employment. And at the time, that really called out some of the challenges we were experiencing in building consensus on what a good job or a quality job really was and what it is. But since then, the conversation has shifted, not just allowing space for, but really demanding a definition and common understanding on the components of job quality and how businesses can think differently about the jobs that they offer. So at a minimum, the definition that Cwdc presented to stakeholders and got buy-in from across the state was the following: wages that are predictable, covering not just the basic living expenses, but also the opportunity for wealth building, benefits that allow for a healthy, stable life, a schedule that provides flexibility and balance with other demands of life, safety, speaking to not just physical working conditions, but also emotional and psychological, transparent and accessible growth opportunities, as well as a sense of belonging. So it's important to keep in mind, similar to the definition and the visual that Jenny shared, that job quality really occurs on a continuum. There's rarely jobs that are all good or all bad, as Jenny mentioned, but there are continuous opportunities to improve job quality features. So you may not run into a job that meets all of these things, but how can we help employers identify which feature they could maybe improve upon to move up or along the continuum of a quality job? Enhancing quality job features, and the ones listed here of our existing jobs, is critical to improving the availability of good jobs across. However, focusing on strengthening existing jobs alone is not going to resolve the good job shortage that we're currently. Working collaboratively, employers and local community leaders like yourselves can really take this, how you all are attracting businesses that offer quality jobs by prioritizing job quality as well as procurement policies. So we will wait no longer to share the framework. Next slide. And we're really excited about this framework because it speaks to the variety of roles in which people can engage in. You'll see that we have 3 kind of levels of involvement, but in no way is this linear or sequential. We have created it in the hope that people can see themselves in this framework and inject where it is most appropriate and most meaningful for their communities. So you'll see we have attract, create, and elevate, with the kind of the idea that communities and community leaders are the ones that attract and grow businesses committed to job quality. Companies create good jobs that meet those basic needs and those features of our job quality definition. And then leaders elevate opportunities for growth, connection, and meaning within work. So we're going to dive a little deeper into each of these elements on the next couple slides, really starting with attract. So the next slide highlights the components of what we mean by communities attract. Community members and local stakeholders like yourselves, economic development, workforce development, education, and community organizations. You all work collaboratively already. And in this model, working collaboratively to improve the economic well-being and quality of life for your local communities by attracting and growing businesses that offer a variety of high-quality jobs. Some ways economic developers and other community leaders can retain and attract quality jobs are through these 3 bullet points. And Kim spoke to these at the very beginning, and we're going to have a chance to circle back on some of these as well. But coordinated policies and incentives that promote the creation and growth of good jobs, long-term attraction and retention plans that prioritize quality jobs, as well as responsive education and training partners that collaborate to meet those evolving needs of learning businesses and the local economy. This next slide focuses in on companies create. So companies and industries work collaboratively as well to create good jobs that meet the basic needs and offer conditions that promote equity, inclusiveness, and opportunities for career and economic mobility. As you can see, these are the features of our definition of a quality job, and this is what companies and employers will be working towards improving along the continuum. There's no vision for returning to the economy of 2019, but rather building back even stronger. So we need a higher goal than just returning to normal employment post-pandemic. This framework and this definition and job features create that roadmap or that framework for companies to start thinking about how they can move towards higher quality job opportunities. And then the next slide is around leaders elevating. And so we heard from Jenny a lot about worker voice and agency and the importance of that piece. But also just something to think about as we dive into conversation with our employers, but also with one another at the end of this webinar. This framework's coming out in a time of stimulus funding, and that stimulus funding to really build back stronger. So when we talk about strong leaders elevating good jobs, by establishing trusting and inclusive work environment that supports employees in developing new skills, advancing along career pathways, and feeling connected to one another and the broader goals of the operation. We're also talking about how leaders can show through metrics, through benchmarks, that they are providing quality jobs, and that they have an opportunity to spotlight that as funders and those providing grant monies and those offering contracts through procurement have the opportunity to highlight that in those applications and those opportunities to say, we have the opportunity to leverage funding to an employer that offers quality jobs. And even if that just makes a small difference, it can lead to greater impacts across the state in job quality. So today, on the next slide, we're coming back to truly this communities attract idea. And we're going to be focusing more on this element of the job quality framework and the role of community leaders like yourself in attracting businesses to communities. So we're going to start that by exploring this in greater depth from the perspective of our panelists today. So we are excited to be joined today by both business and economic development perspectives. We will, I think, take down with one another and the panelists. But we're pleased today to be joined by Ashley Arnold. Ashley is the Rural Empowerment Programs Manager at PAX 8. Also joining us today is Erin Schichting. Oh, I slaughtered that, Erin. You're gonna have to, I practiced it even. I'm so sorry. Deputy Director of Human Resources with Eagle County Government. I saw a couple of our Eagle County friends on the call today, so thank you for being here. She's also the founder of Mountain Careers. And Jimmy Birds, who is the owner of Colographic, all sharing their perspectives on job quality from the business perspective. So Erin, I'm going to start with you to give everyone the chance to hear your last name properly. We're going to just go through a couple of questions, but would love to also just hear a little bit about your company in the introduction. So why is job quality important to employers from your perspective?
Awesome, thanks. So it's Erin Schlichting. You did a wonderful job. No, it's a difficult name. So I come at this from really a human resource perspective, a recruitment perspective. Mountain Careers is a job board that services all mountain communities and really promotes professional, great jobs that give people the ability to live and work in the community. We reach about 10,000 subscribers weekly and help businesses and employers reach these communities. I also work at Eagle County, which is an amazing government organization where we focus on really innovation and trying to provide a high quality workforce. So the work you guys have really packaged here is so important to us as a business because it's things we've believed for the last few years and known to be so important. And now to have a framework and words to put it together.
Yeah, it's on the bottom of that thing I sent you. It's an attachment down at the bottom.
Do you mind muting? Really helps employers attract and retain employees. We know that about 70% of professionals are open to new opportunities, and keep the door open for better jobs at any point in time. And now with what the market's showing, people have the ability to go find a better paying job, a job that offers benefits or a better culture. So prioritizing the buckets that this quality job framework calls out is just so important. A few years ago, it was nice to have, and now from a recruitment standpoint, it's really a requirement. At Mountain Careers, we often survey our job seekers to just understand, is rural Colorado different from urban areas? Is what Forbes reporting as the most important things important to our job seekers? And absolutely, wage benefits, learning opportunities and growth continue to rise. Job flexibility and schedule continue to rise to the top. So really a number one thing to focus on if employee attraction and retention is important to your business.
Thank you so much, Erin, and thanks for more information about your role and your career up in Eagle County. Jimmy, let's go to you next. If you wouldn't mind answering that same question, telling us a little bit about Colographic. Why is job quality important to employers? Unmute first.
All right, that's better. Thank you for having me, and thank you, Paula. Colographic, we're a sign company that specializes in fleet graphics. We've been around for 41 years. I've been here 39 of them. And, we run on a belief that we succeed when we help each other, our customers, our vendors, and our communities succeed. And, we live that through clear, honest, respectful communication. And, the thing that, having a job where you don't have to worry about not feeling well because you don't have insurance and deciding if you should go to work or not, to worry about how I'm going to retire. All of these things are things that distract people. And, it's our belief that if those things are taken care of, that's just one less distraction that allows your team member to be able to be focused and be productive and, really pay attention to what they're doing at the time. People who are happier at work are going to be happier at home. They're going to be better spouses, partners, parents. They'll have more time. They won't need an hour to decompress from what a horrible day they had. It encourages more teamwork. That's all we focus on here is how we communicate with each other. And as it's been said already, the longevity that we get from people, that's such a savings to not have to retrain people because people stay. And we work on continuous improvement every day. Everyone here has the ability to make changes. They have input. What they do and say matters. We're very, very employee centric. I don't even like to use the word employee that much. They're teammates. We're all human beings. The hierarchy isn't that important. My job, the supervisor's job is to give those people who are doing the job what they need to do their job well, to improve. The more we allow, you always hear people say, I don't pay you to think. Well, I tell people, I don't pay you to work, I pay you to think. Because, when somebody's looking for an easier way, they're not lazy. There's somebody that wants to figure out an easier way. It's human nature when we allow people to do that instead of just saying, well, we just do it that way because that's the way we've always done it. That's some of the worst words we've ever uttered in a business. And I think that people desire to be part of something. So the more that we can communicate, the more that we are cross-training so that we understand the person before us in the process and the person after, the more compassion we'll have for them, the more understanding, the more that we can make a better product because we can make these recommendations. If you send me this, it'll save me 10 minutes as long as it doesn't take you longer. It's that kind of thinking that makes for a better job. It makes our job like a game every day. How do we improve that little incremental amount and get wins on a continuous basis?
Thank you so much, Jimmy. That's great. Ashley, Same question.
Sure. Thank you so much for having Pax8 here today. We really appreciate the opportunity. For those of you that don't know, Pax8 is a homegrown cloud distribution technology company founded in 2012. We simplify the way technology professionals buy, sell, and manage cloud solutions, empowering our partners to achieve more with cloud technology. Our rural empowerment program focuses on two things. Number one is to bring technical and knowledge worker jobs to smaller cities in pursuit of geographically dispersed talent. And the second piece is representing smaller cities in the tech industry by investing in people to develop their skills, build their careers, and help their communities grow. We take a strategic approach guided by economic development in rural Colorado to bring jobs and create mentorship programs in underserved communities. Our rural empowerment program is built around meeting people where they are. We have hired 20 employees in 7 counties distributed throughout Colorado. Now, as it comes to job quality, we believe it's critical to creating a sustainable culture that can thrive. A core component of our program is meeting people exactly where they are, and job quality keeps employees engaged, focused, and provides a purpose. By creating quality jobs, companies enable economic stability in communities and build quality ecosystems. Pax8 achieves this through a number of things. We have an onboarding experience for all new employees that they go through that is autonomous throughout the organization. We also have full benefits, but what we're most proud of is our customizable learning management tracking system, our LMS system. So it provides a constant way for our employees to stack wins and celebrate them and keep skilling up and up and up. And lastly, we invest in career development heavily through on-the-job training, leadership training, job shadowing, mentorship, and behavioral profiles. And we do that through managers with one-on-ones. We're always touching base, checking in with our employees through surveys, through some of the systems that we have. And we really take a holistic approach to our employees' tenure at Pax8.
Thanks, Ashley. And I think I'm excited to shift kind of to the next question. Ashley, I think I'll just stay with you, and then we'll mix things up a little bit in going around. Also, panelists, if you think of something while someone else is speaking, feel free to chime in as well. But thinking about the audience that we are with today, Ashley, what recommendations would you have for those who want to work with employers in advancing job quality?
Sure, thank you so much. This is a great question, and one that has been top of my mind for the past year, working in this position at Pax8. Basically, we believe that the community and the economic development corporation of the community is of prime importance. So basically, what we like to bring to the table is say, be creative. From an economic development perspective, employers must work with the EDC and other community programs to increase their brand recognition and expand into more areas. It's really hard to grow if you're not working with the people that are investing in job quality, like the EDCs and the workforce development centers. Also, the EDCs need to seek out companies with a shared vision of advancing job quality and keep an eye for innovative approaches and establishing unique programs to achieve their goal. And lastly, by sharing a human-centric approach to the way we work, we will basically introduce quality jobs and enhance the culture organically over time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley. Jimmy, I wonder if you could chime in from your perspective. How do people engage with you about advancing job quality? Sorry, Jimmy, you have to unmute again. No, it's a dance.
I know. After a year, you'd think I'd be used to this. Could you repeat your question, please?
Sure. So we're just interested in your perspective as an owner in Adams County. How do you want people to partner with you in advancing job quality? So public or private partners?
Well, I guess, you know, if as we're helping businesses to do these things, that if we focus on culture and and help people understand that culture is so important. We have to decide what it is and stick with it no matter what, and keep going and going and going, because it's not easy if we want a good culture and to maintain it. But it is the most important. I think that we look for incentives to increase employee benefits for those of us who are already doing everything we possibly can and still be able to compete in our certain areas where, even if I think I pay better than most and the benefits are better, but I don't think it's enough. And yet I can't do anything more about that. So incentives, things that help those employers that really want to do the right thing is important. I mean, it's still up to employers first. We have to have a desire. We've got to want to do it. We got to believe it's going to work. And, I think that it is that showing, you've already talked about it, that it's proven that this works, and we have to get that information in front of people. And because I just don't think a lot of employers really believe it. And I'm a firm believer, and that's why we do what we do.
Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate that honest answer. Erin, what are your thoughts on engagement with employers around job quality?
Yeah, my first thoughts go to really understanding how busy the business owner is, or the HR department, especially in times of low staffing or coming out of, already having to innovate their business from a, I guess, financial stability standpoint. Even coming from a really, really well-resourced HR team, it's hard to find time and energy to push new things forward. And so however you could provide each, honestly, one-on-one consultation type things for businesses. Oftentimes it's when I sit down with a manager or a business specifically and help them say, let's you don't have to be 5 days a week. We can help you come up with a 4-10 schedule for your employees, or you're offering this, but it doesn't say that in your job posting. So let's really break down your job posting and figure out how you could better position yourself as this quality job. You have all those things in there, but you just haven't packaged it correctly. But people just are, they get so busy, which is fair enough. We all feel this in our own jobs. So just know that they honestly need the help. They need the resources, and just having someone come to a seminar or a class, they might have the will and the desire, but once they get back to work, it'll just be business like usual. So to what extent we can give them that one-on-one consulting to say, how can we, and sometimes I even think looking at one job and trying to change it before trying to change a full organization. I've recently had ideas and thoughts about, some of the education positions I see out there posted, and how we can help that type of sector. So not trying to tackle a full organization or company, but just maybe starting with one job and showing an organization how by changing things there, they can slowly start to change their organization and their mindset around quality jobs in a team.
Thank you, Erin. I'm loving just the variety of responses we're getting and the different perspectives. I really appreciate all you each have offered to this conversation so far. I wonder, we've spoken to this somewhat, but that maybe diving a little deeper if you have additional thoughts about what is the community's responsibility in engaging in job quality. Jimmy, why don't we start with you on that question?
Well, I think it's some of the things I've heard talked about is really attracting those better jobs. I mean, in my opinion, for the more blue collar worker, automation is coming, and we're going to need a lot of people to do that. Those are good jobs, finding those types of things. We just have to demand more from our employers and government to really come from a place of making sure that our employees are going to be healthy and well and take, that we're giving them what they're, the real value of what they do. We need to teach critical thinking skills to our children, because that's what we need as employers. We need people that come in and can think through things and communication. We need to teach communication better so that people don't, so that they have tools to communicate. You know, we got a lot of passionate people here, and sometimes things can get a little like heated because they're trying to do something better. And yet, you know, we work on, okay, well, maybe there's a better way we could have said that, or, you know, I mean, you know, as much as we do that, and we work on communication, it's just, it's a continual thing, and teaching communication. And then the other thing that the community needs to do is provide affordable housing, especially in, you know, up in the mountains where a lot of these jobs, it's such a huge problem. But, you know, here, I think in the metro area, we got like $60,000 a year average pay, and the average price of a home is $500,000. Well, that's $3,000 a month, and that, it just doesn't work. So we you know, and, you know, we got to quit giving incentives to companies that come in and make a lot of jobs, but the jobs aren't great. I think too often I see communities just going, oh, we're going to get this big company in here. And it's not necessarily the best for their community. And then if they decide that somebody else is going to give them a better deal 10 years from now, it makes a big hole in the job market later.
Thank you, Jimmy. I heard a couple of things there. Just the connections with K-12 education and higher ed. We see in some of our data around skills communications being the #1 that employers are looking for. And so same question. Oh, and housing, of course, housing, childcare, those other pieces that enable people to live and work within a community. Ashley, what from your perspective is the community's responsibility in engaging in job quality?
Yeah, so it's really collaboration and engagement with the ecosystem between community and employer. It's absolutely critical for successfully creating job quality. The reason is because when you're a new company and you're entering into a new market or a new area, you want to be sure that your cultural values match up with the community that you're entering into. So our transformational community engagement model drives impactful partnerships between public and private organizations and lays the framework for continued success. We stay in communication. We believe that that's the best way to do that holistically, is to work with the community, partner with them, and be involved.
And I might circle back with that, Ashley, just in your commitment to, you know, serving a number of different regions across Colorado. I think you said 7 different counties. Is that different for different communities? If you could speak to that a little bit, I'd love to hear that.
Sure, it is different. You know, there's the mountain region where affordable housing is an issue. There's a lot of second homeowners throughout this area. And so the question has been unlocking the remote talent throughout the upper Arkansas region 13. As you move down towards southern Colorado, the affordable housing question kind of goes away, and it says, okay, what kind of job quality are you bringing? And they really ask that question. In Northeast Colorado, it's more of bringing a stable pipeline of working on a stable pipeline of workforce development and replacing the jobs with stable, you know, job quality with stability. We've seen each community has its kind of own ins and outs and their own priorities of how they're going to address some of these issues. And what we try to do is make sure that we're a part of the conversation at Pax8, even if we can't come up with an immediate solution, but we try to keep that top of mind because these issues ultimately affect our workers and our talent.
Can I ask a question, Ashley?
Yes.
Are you guys also working on bringing jobs that don't have brick and mortar, but because we can do so much remotely to these, you know, for a small town where somebody could get good pay and not leave that small town, you know, because they would be there if they could, but the jobs aren't there. Is that something that's changing?
Jimmy, that's a great question. That's exactly why this program was built at Pax8, is to meet people exactly where they are in the community that they are in. And one of those reasons is we're incentivized with the location neutral employment incentive to work in loan incentivized communities. Now there's quite a few in Colorado out of 64 counties. But what we try to do is tell people they can stay remote and stay in their community and still have the best of both worlds, still have a say in the tech industry, still have a solid job in the tech industry, and promote their community. Lastly, we always vet connectivity and infrastructure of the areas that we work in as part of our vetting process. And so this program, Jimmy, was specifically built to meet people where they are geographically and also in their career.
Thank you.
Thanks for off that cuff information. I think that was really helpful. Thank you, Ashley and Jimmy. Erin, coming back to you around the community's responsibility, what would be your response to that?
I love this question because it sort of leans into the reason that I started Mountain Careers, is that, we know, and I believe lots of economic development strategic plans always talk about how to attract and retain talent in a community, and that, great jobs probably attract other great jobs, and talent attracts talent into an area. And so I think a community's responsibility, if they want to have innovative, great businesses that are able to add to like the vibrancy of a community, that focusing on this is going to be important. I think what a community really can do to help support that is help change the narratives around some of the workforce issues conversation. I see it much more beneficial to highlight success stories around companies that are doing it well, instead of telling the same old story of skills gaps or how we can't hire anybody in the mountains. One thing Mountain Careers has done from the beginning is really set out to tell those exciting stories, focus on professionals who are living in these areas and doing these jobs, highlight companies who are doing innovative things, as a way for other employers to feel that like sense of urgency or sense of, oh, wow, they're doing it. They're not having hiring issues. I like to look at Dave and Matt's van, or the Matt and Dan's van, I'm not sure, but out of Gypsum, Colorado is a great example. I mean, they have grown their teams to like 20 people over the last year or so. And it's really those maintenance labor type positions of building vans, but the way they've invested in their workforce from the beginning is just tremendous. So I'd love to see communities rally around telling success stories in their areas around companies, instead of supporting some of the media that wants to continually talk about the workforce challenges. And then that way we all have a great, vibrant, downtowns, main streets. One thing that always motivates me as a mom is to make sure I know my kids are going to want to move back to the mountains. So how can, I know that they can move back here and have a great job and have a successful career as adults. So that's one thing that I sort of rally around from a community lens.
Awesome. Thank you so much. What a great conversation. We are running low on time, so I'm going to ask that this final question is rapid fire. So I'm gonna just ask for maybe not even complete sentences, just bullet points on this last question here. And Erin, we'll start with you again. Who are the players in building a community that supports job quality? Go.
Okay. Human resource professionals. And then quick side note, I would love to start engaging more marketing and communication specialists in the topic and conversation for that storytelling piece.
Awesome, Erin. Ashley, who are the players?
Oops, am I on mute?
Yep.
Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, so the players that we see, I'm gonna go through my list because it's a pretty big group of people, but it's obviously the state of Colorado, the economic developers at a hyper-local level. It's also the Board of Education, the city administrators, the superintendents of schools, community colleges, chamber of commerce, mayors, community commissioners, and lastly, the private entrepreneurs that help with resiliency and workforce development and continued success.
Nice work. Nice work. Jimmy, who are the players from your perspective?
Well, first and foremost, the employers, they have to understand the value of human beings. They have to have compassion and humility. And second would be lawmakers and government to incentivize or in some ways force things to have a higher bar. And if we prioritize the employee, profits are going to follow.
Great final statement, Jimmy. Thank you. In following Kim's suit, if we can give our panelists a round of applause, a Zoom round of applause. Thank you so much for being here. What an incredible conversation. It looks like we have a few questions in the chat. So I will pop to those quickly. Kim, did any pop out to you that we could share with the panelists?
So first of all, Amber asks, are the businesses and partners on this panel part of sector partnerships in your areas? And if so, using the information that you use today in what you do in your philosophy to share that with other employers within your sector partnership. And so I'm not sure, Ashley, I don't know if you are part of a sector, are you?
Yeah, I can take that. So we're part of what's now called the South Central Tech Partnership Region 13, which is a partnership between Chaffee, Fremont, Custer, and Lake counties. And we do share our case studies within the area. We've had the most success at Emergent Campus in Florence, Colorado, and that's where we're building a satellite office. And so we do attend those meetings and share the information that we've received from our recruiting efforts and also our stay interviews, and lastly, including our turn rates with that area. So we definitely do that, but we also do that statewide.
Thank you. And then Carl asks, is anyone linking employment with access to housing? So can you point to any examples or provide any links there? Obviously, if, Aaron, I think you touched on it a little bit, as if you can't attract talent because there's no housing for them to live in, it makes it a very hard case to bring them to your community.
Yeah, I know it's a huge opportunity in the mountains, and one organization I know does it really well is Eagle River Water and Sanitation, has had a housing program for a long time. Here at Eagle County, we are working to increase our housing. And so I think there's lots of different ways for people to do it. And as a community, understanding the benefits that, might be offered to people in the area. And then maybe as an employer starting by sharing those resources could be a great opportunity. I know on our web pages, we like to link to the chambers of commerce and, other resources. And then sometimes just saying, hire local, starting there and just reframing what your hiring efforts and requirements might look like, but just focusing on hiring local too.
I agree with that. There's a lot of soft skills that go into a lot of our jobs. And if we aren't listing the soft skills and only the technical, then it really does scare people away. And then Corey asks, how does this job quality, and this is probably for Paula, how does this job quality effort tie in with the Colorado Talent Playbook?
So I might lean on Britta here a little bit too, but I think we're talking about in that question, the Talent Development Playbook, which was released over a series of months last year, where we really spotlighted ways, strategies rather, that employers are using to help with talent development strategies, but really with economic success and competitive advantage for businesses. And so I think it goes hand in hand, right? So some of the strategies that were highlighted in the Talent Development Playbook were things like skills-based hiring, diversity, equity, and inclusion, partnerships, collaborations. So upskilling, next skilling, reskilling, all those pieces. And all of those are components or contributing factors to job quality. So I think they go hand in hand, though it's not explicitly mentioned. I think there is one chapter on like the conscious employer. So talking more to that moral impact and the leader's role in taking that on as an important part of the work. So certainly there's a lot of connection. So in the interest of time, I think we are moving on to the next part of this presentation. Thank you so much for being on today. Thank you for offering your expertise and experiences. It's been a pleasure to listen to all you have to offer. So thank you. And I think on that, we'll come back to the slides and just talk about some of the other things that are going on with job quality with Colorado and with the Colorado Workforce Development Council. So you've heard both Jenny and I mention working metrics. Maybe Jenny was the first to bring it up in how we look at how we measure job quality. So I think it's tempting for people to think about the work of job quality really being subjective. However, what we're trying to do in partnership with Working Metrics, and what I believe we will be successful in, is measuring specific indicators like wages, benefits, schedules, safety and wellness, growth, and sense of belonging with employers across the state. So we were introduced to Working Metrics through Colorado's work with Results for America, and our hope with 25 employers across the state is really giving the opportunities to employers to assess how well their internal operations are doing against key job quality metrics, and then taking those measures and metrics and benchmarking them against other employers either in their industry or in their local community or region, and then translate that to the use of scorecards for employers to use and how they can make adjustments and move along that continuum of job quality in different areas. So we're currently recruiting up to 25 employers to participate in that Working Metrics pilot, so they can look at their data, start benchmarking and scoring around those measures in job quality and diversity. So if you're interested in learning more about that, we can please just drop in the chat and we can follow up with you. The next slide dives a little bit deeper into like, how does this help? How does it drive impact? And we spoke a little bit already about just the unprecedented amount of money coming into our workforce system currently. And what we're finding in this workforce development market is that you need data analytics to be able to help employers and their partners improve business decisions and results and impact through insights into job quality. So we need the data so that employers can start telling their story and start qualifying for different incentives and advantages because of the work that they're doing. So Working Metrics is easy, it's fast, it's data-based, it's data-driven, and it's the benchmarking that really allows you to pull that strategic lever in saying it's our region or it's our industry that provides these quality jobs. So, and it's really without this data, we can't really speak to the impacts that job quality and diversity metrics have, but we can do that in influencing decision-making processes and measuring impacts on the companies and their workers over time. So the next slide speaks just a little bit. You get 3 core services through a platform like Working Metrics that allows you to really measure, benchmark, and report back your progress in job quality. And the Working Metrics tool provides 3 core services. You get your data back, and you get to review the scores and results, and then you get to compare and analyze your results. So you get a report back on how you're doing. You can look across your industry, you can look across your region, and then you can analyze where you might want to start moving along that continuum in making progress. The next slide just talks a little bit more about the actual data collection that we're looking at, and the how of working with Working Metrics. Again, if you want more information about this, please follow up with us. So we're looking for up to 25 employers to participate. So this final slide is just about what we're looking for. Companies to participate, it's no cost. You can discuss how your organization can use the data to promote job quality and diversity. And we would work with you to plan and implement a phased rollout of Working Metrics within your organization. So if you all, as community leaders and economic developers, workforce developers, are interested in how you might be able to set either your region apart or your industry apart in having measures and metrics around job quality, this pilot might be just what you need. So just let us know if you're interested in that. We're going to take the last few minutes of our time together this morning in engaging with a conversation with you all. So if you have kept your camera off through most of this, we would love to see your face for this part of the conversation. And if you've had a session with the Colorado Workforce Development Council in the past, you may be familiar with Padlet, but we're going to drop a link into the chat, and you should all have access to just click on that. And it poses a few questions for us to consider as a group. And so we'll give you a few minutes of silence to work in this Padlet. All you have to do is click on that plus button under each of the questions to offer your insights and reflections. And then we will use that Padlet to help facilitate a broader conversation about this work from the economic developer's perspective. So I'll just give you a few minutes to enter in your thoughts around these questions. Okay, thank you everyone who's dropping comments under each of these questions. I do want to also offer the opportunity for people to maybe speak to some of their comments or expand upon some of their comments. And we're going to do that just by, I'll read off each question, and would just love to hear some voices in this. So the Padlet protects our introverted friends who would rather write down their responses, but I know we have a couple extroverts here who are dying to chime in on their ideas. So I'll start just by saying, how does the information you heard today impact the work in your community? Or how can this be weaved in? Is anyone brave enough to come off mute and either speak to the comment that they shared on the board or just their ideas and thoughts on that? I wonder if it's anonymous here, so I can't call on you specifically, but I wonder if who put this first comment here, our region is experiencing some of these same things, and getting the word out about ideas that we've heard today are fantastic. As far as how it can be weaved in, thinking through sounds like sector partnerships. I'm wondering if whoever posted that would be willing to just share where you're from and kind of what is going on in your region and in your space.
Hey Paula, it's Amber Duchesne. I posted that. I'll speak up.
Thank you, Amber.
Oh yeah, anytime. it's interesting that this came up today because we were just having a discussion in our subcommittee. So I'm part of the Health Sector Partnership for Region 2, which is Walden, Larimer counties. And during our workforce subcommittee meeting yesterday, one challenge we're having is getting businesses to attend so they can hear the stuff that we're talking about here. So we're experiencing, a lot of these same challenges, but trying to help employers understand some of this. It's difficult because one, they're already short-staffed because of everything that's going on, so they can't really attend an extra meeting. So how do we bring our information to them? And I don't know, something in my brain just keeps saying sector partnerships. So, and feel free to ask me more questions, or if that wasn't where I needed to go, let me know.
That's perfect, and that's really real, Amber. I think part of the conversation is how do we get businesses re-engaged in their sector partnerships so that they can hear some of these pieces. I think there's a lot of, there are some challenges in this that the pandemic presented in sector partnerships kind of going back to their industry, trying to figure out a lot of things, not necessarily having time anymore for their sector partnership meetings. So those strategies to re-engage those business champions, we're going to hold up some of your innovative strategies. So Erin, I know you spoke some to that one-on-one outreach, and I wonder if you have anything to add to Amber's predicament.
No, I just think I can understand. That's what made me think of the one-on-one, honestly, is that knowing that sometimes they don't, and anybody working in, right, you get sort of tunnel vision to what your role and responsibility is. And in many times that's servicing the customers, producing the product, ensuring the financials are sound for a business. And so it takes that outside perspective that, and that one-on-one, going to their offices, seeing how work is done, seeing how they can innovate work. But it might not be accomplished in 1 or 2 webinars.
Thank you, because
Erin.
That's really good feedback. It's just trying to understand how to engage the businesses, and I can take that back to our subcommittee and say, hey, maybe we need to focus a little more on the one-on-one in explaining the benefits of a sector partnership and getting this information out there. So I appreciate that.
And then telling the success story of the first one that you're able to help.
Jimmy, I see your hand is raised. Did you want to chime in on that?
Oh, is it unmuted now?
Yep.
I think that it's kind of a marketing thing, but basically get questions out to these people that are painful, the ones that you can help them solve, and let them know that you can solve those problems. And ask the questions. Are you having a hard time attracting good, employees, and those type of things, and let them know that you have some answers and that you're there to help. We make time. We'll prioritize the things that are going to take our pain away.
Thanks, Jimmy. That makes a lot of sense. Keeping our conversation moving along just a little bit, what ideas can you share with the group? What ideas are you all having about how economic developers might play a role in advancing good jobs locally? So we've heard from our panelists. We really want to hear from you and what your ideas are.
Hi, Paula, it's Stephanie at Arapahoe Douglas Works. And I just wanted to let you know that we're actually working on a project with both of our economic development partners in our region. And we're putting together like business roundtables focused on specific topics. The current one that we're working on is around software engineering or software developer positions. So to me, the economic developers help us, I guess, identify need and then also bring the businesses together to talk about it and try to work out solutions for the future.
Awesome. If you have information to share about that, Stephanie, drop it in the chat. We'd love to hear more details about
Absolutely. Our meetings are in October.
that. Great, thank you. Anyone else want to share what's going on in their communities? What ideas you have? One of the characteristics that were listed, or one of the strategies that was listed under the attract, communities attract businesses to a community. One of those strategies was around coordinated policies and incentives. And you heard some of our panelists mention some specific incentives, and it looks like there were some ideas shared here and maybe even some specific incentive programs. I would love to hear just people speak out loud on what incentives or coordinated policies have worked or that you're hoping to look into.
Paula, this is Stephanie again. I guess the one thing that comes to mind when I think about this is the TechP project, which is a regional effort within workforce. It's a Department of Labor grant for $7.5 million. And the only way that that grant was made possible was through the support of businesses and economic development in our area. And it creates pipelines for the H-1B visa positions that there's a great need out there. So we're able to take customers and train them into kind of those mid and high level positions and get them directly into companies. So to me, I think that's a little bit of a a successful partnership, but it will show over the next 2 years.
Thank you, Stephanie. So I know we're running short on time here, and I want to just share that we can download this Padlet and share it with the participants as well. So this is something that we can include in follow-up. I think there's a lot of great information here. Kim, I'm going to look to you. How much time do we need just for closing comments? Can we take a couple more questions and ideas from this Padlet?
We have about 4 minutes left.
Okay.
The whole time. So I think we're probably ready to wrap up.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kim. So thank you for your participation in this Padlet. Like I said, we'll download it and we'll be able to share it with you. I'm particularly interested in diving a little deeper into how economic developers really can continue to connect to statewide efforts to attract, create, and elevate good jobs. So I will be diving into those after this meeting.
Thanks, Paula. And one of the things that I wanted to mention too that Jenny had mentioned, because this is the part where I think economic developers can really take advantage as the part of the policies and incentives. And she had mentioned that San Diego was actually doing some great work. And so, Jenny, if you wouldn't mind just maybe giving us a few bullet points, maybe in the Padlet on what some of those policies are, that would be very helpful to share with this group. Great, thank you. I'm going to share my screen again really quick and we'll get this wrapped up for everybody. So I want to end today's session by thanking our panelists for today for sharing their perspective, industry knowledge, and insight. If you want to connect with our speakers afterwards, please let me know and I will get you all connected. We can't close today's event without acknowledging the important contribution made by the Colorado Workforce Development Council. They play an integral role in the economic and workforce development and have been a key EDCC network player. Thanks goes to the council and all of our workforce development folks on the call today. Excuse me. A big thank you goes to our dedicated events and programming and communications committee who helped bring this series to fruition. If you have any ideas for future programming, please share that with us. We also have a survey that we're going to be dropping into the chat section. Again, the link to the recording, the presentation, and the follow-up resources and outcomes will be emailed to you early next week. The thought leadership paper will be released on October 11th, which will be sent to everyone on today's call. Also, we are working to, excuse me, better our delivery of timely information. So please help us by taking this 5-minute survey. Really, it's very simple. There's only 6 questions and you can blow through it really quickly, but we need that information to continue to make these events meaningful and interactive. You can find our information about our upcoming events and programming by visiting our website at edcconline.org/events calendar. And finally, visit our website for resources and tools that you need to be successful in your economic and workforce development endeavors. Take care, everyone. We can't wait to see you again soon. Bye-bye.